everyone came over to me and was like, yo, listen, this guy's stealing your thunder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I hit the record button about 15 seconds ago because
no.
we've run into this problem with Wallace a few times. So welcome to the Depression Vacation podcast, and you probably just heard Ryan talking nonsense for no particular reason that will not make sense to any other person here. I'm not sure if Ryan is mad at me for hitting the record button or not.
I can't believe you've done this to me now.
We're just trying all sorts of new stuff on Depression Vacation.
Yeah, but in any case, this is the Depression Vacation podcast. I'm Hal.
I'm Shannon.
And I'm Ryan.
Yay, we have Ryan back.
Ryan!
Ryan the Ryan, Ryan the Ryan Brady.
That's
I
me.
love this. I love every part of this.
For $10 more, I had a metal mix.
Ooh.
I'm going to take off my shoes.
Take off your
Sorry,
shoes. I thought
it's
somebody
about-
was knocking on the door for a
No,
sec.
it's me taking off my shoes because I'm tired of my shoes. I've been wearing them since 7.
I have the same relationship with pants, so
So, yep, this is what it's going to be now, Hal.
yeah. So I'm glad I'm actually doing this because I've had sort of a rough last 10 days in general.
Tell us about it.
I was doing so well for a while. Like I was going to the gym pretty much every morning before work. I was getting healthier and doing stuffs. And now I hurt my back a little bit like a week and a half ago moving a gigantic dresser that belonged to my grandfather into my room from my aunt's house in Malvern. And that threw me off just my schedule enough that haven't been doing so well in that regard. So
That sucks.
yeah, it sucks. But, you know, that's kind of life is like you need to roll with the punches, which I'm not very good at doing, apparently.
No, neither am I. I'm really bad at rolling with the punches.
Yeah, and then like another interesting subtext too, because I've talked a lot about this on the show. I haven't actually taken my anxiety medication in 5 days at this point.
How?
Yeah, well, here's the funny thing. Like I forgot to take it like 2 days in a row because I was busy, and I started actually feeling just better about things. So I thought I would just kind of roll with this. And I have a friend who is also on Zoloft, and I was like, you know, is it bad to go off your medication? And she was kind of like, I go off it all the time, and I kind of just take it as needed. However, I do notice, even though there are aspects of me that feel better, like I have more energy in a couple of ways and things like that, the intrusive thoughts have sort of come back in again, and like the concept that like if something doesn't go my way where I'm excluded by something, I assume the most nefarious of intentions and all the things that got me starting taking it to begin with. So I think like what I might settle on doing, I'm going to talk to my doctor about this, but it seems like the dosage I'm on for it based on other people I talk to is a little bit high. So like maybe a reduced dosage would do the trick without making me feel tired.
It's possible. I always get a little nervous when people start playing with their meds.
Yeah.
I like a couple of times Ryan's meds have been changed around, and I always get so anxious just because, you know, anything could happen, and I just get really anxious about it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Ryan, how do you feel about medication?
Yeah, you know, I've had this erection for longer than 4 hours.
Ryan!
I'm really trying to talk to my doctor about it, but he is like, no, keep taking it.
Shannon, you really need to like work this here.
Oh my God.
Or is it just dry at this point?
Listen,
I'm so mad.
Oh no.
I've been saying, Shannon, get me to a public bathroom any minute now. And just help me out.
I can offer you a quasi public bathroom right now.
Hal is pimping us out right now.
Oh, man.
Big
really
pimpin',
weird.
spending Ryan. Gonna get that big pimpin' and
my
bending
God.
your spine. Gonna get that big pimpin' down in nine. Yeah, I lost that like 2.
I like to think, this is, should I tell the story about Nate? Because I feel like Nate is like anti-Hal.
Nate is anti-Hal. That's a
Wait,
hot take.
he doesn't like me? What?
No,
What?
no,
No.
he is the
Okay, so
anti-Hal.
there's this.
Okay.
Like
Alright.
the Antichrist.
I'm glad that
except
there's a "the" involved.
Yeah.
Because I just heard about this person, Nate, who I don't know, but apparently thinks I'm a
He
dick.
just fucking hates you, dude. I don't know why.
Where is he? Let me meet him. We'll be best friends. I'll put on my golden retriever voice and talk like this. Yeah.
Trust me, you don't need to earn this person's
Yes, I
respect
do,
or love or
Shannon.
anything.
Everyone needs to love me.
So I met this guy at the bar, and I just
The club isn't the best place to find a lover, so the bar is where Ryan goes.
Yep. And I met this guy. His name is, we'll say his name is Nate.
You already said his name.
So that it still holds up.
It could be anything. It could be anyone.
I don't think Nate listens to this podcast.
No, probably not. Because he went to jail.
Nate also can't read.
He also can't read.
So I don't know how you would find the podcast.
Okay, 2 things that I have not done so far. So far this checks out.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, he likes to freestyle rap.
Oh, okay.
But he's not good at it.
Okay.
And so I see you, and I like your songs.
Me too.
Yeah, they're good. And so it just occurred to me that Shannon always made fun of Nate for trying to freestyle rap.
Rap is a lot more difficult because so in musical improv, we have attempted to do hip hop a few times. And the only person, like, this was when I was the accompanist. Like, I actually wasn't on stage trying to do this. And the only person who pulled it off really good, was this really talented guy named Chris Piccard, who did a lot of the musical improv stuff with us. And he was just like, he had the stage persona, the presence, and the confidence, and also like the talent to be an awesome musical improviser and improviser in general. And there was one time I just ran out of ideas. So I just flipped over my guitar and started doing a funky beat. And by funky beat, I mean like stomp, clap. Stomp, clap, stomp, stomp, clap, stomp, clap, just over and over. And he did this awesome rap, and it was fantastic. The audience really went for it. And it takes somebody that has a certain level of skill and just thinking on your feet. Like, with me making up songs, like, there's always a little bit of time for you to think of something that fits. But with rap, you need to, like, be on it there and there.
Yeah,
So
I don't think I could do that.
Nate's setting his sights just a little too high.
Well, and the thing is, like, if Nate were doing it to be funny, like if it were a comedic kind of rap thing, like maybe that'd be fun. But he's doing it unironically, and
sometimes. So I take it this is probably another generational gap thing. Have either of you heard of the rock band Pavement at all?
No.
They were like the original like indie band in the late 80s, early 90s that everybody loved but nobody heard of for hipsters, essentially. And I was super into them from like 2008 to 2011. And they did, like, one of their big things was they recorded like 50 tracks for every album, and recently had put out their albums were generally like 20 songs long, but then they put out extended editions. And a lot of them were full of like songs that they just made up on the spot, of definitely varying quality. But some of them were just like fucking awesome because a lot of rock lyrics don't really need to make sense at all. And like, you could improv a Bob Dylan song. Ooh, that's a great idea. Improvised Bob Dylan. So like I think rock and like songs in general are significantly more forgiving than hip hop. Also, like a little trick I use with improvising like full songs is if you get in trouble, just go back to the chorus and give yourself 15 to 20 seconds to think of something new to do.
That's funny. Yeah.
So anti-Nate.
I recently was on a what's it called? Holding Hands with Tyler and John.
Tyler and John, yeah.
Yep, that was fun. That was this past Friday. Got to see a little bit of improv from Ashley Madavi.
Oh, yeah.
So shout out Ashley.
Ashley is
great.
a queen of improv and listens to this podcast, so she's definitely going to hear that.
Yeah, we were hanging out and had a fun time. So it was really nice to be on that. And that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, did you meet Christina too? You said that she was the one who contacted you about being on the show.
Well, I've met Christina before. She used to come to HMAC for the open mics.
Yes, because the first time I met her, she said that she did say that she knew you, and she said she had done stand-up a few times, but I had just never seen her. But also, I wasn't doing a lot of stand-up at that point.
She wasn't there Friday night, but there was this other person, Megan. I don't know, but she was super nice. She she was working the sound, I guess, and like pulled me aside and was like, "You did so good." So I was like, "Oh, thanks." So that was fun.
It's gotten to the point with the improv theater, I don't know everybody there anymore because, like, similar to stand-up, I'll go through periods where I just don't do a lot of shows. Like, I'm only on one show this entire season because I submitted late and they wouldn't put the other 2 shows on it. But,
rip.
Yeah, I'm still a bit somewhat salty about that. But, you know, it just kind of is what it is. But the improv theater is a lot of fun. I've met so many cool friends there. And it would be fair to say that, like, every other artistic thing, like including stand-up that I've gotten into, has been a result of like meeting people and connections at the improv theater.
Yeah, it was fun. We had a nice time. Although I'm not used to doing stand-up at 10 o'clock at night. And it was way past my bedtime.
Yeah, because you usually get on the Comedy Zone early and then leave before the rest of us have to perform at
Listen,
39. Or no, you were on last 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago I was last, and I
shut your mouth, Hal.
Yeah, shut your mouth, Hal.
Although I was first this last week, so
You're getting the extremes.
Yeah, I really hate going first, and I've had to go. I've only gone first like maybe 4 times. And I hate it.
Well, when I guess Glessner was hosting this past week, and was it Glessner?
Yeah, it was Glessner.
And he was like, "You're going first." I was like, "Okay," and he was like, "Oh my gosh, thank goodness!" Like he was just like, "You are just so cool about going first." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." He's like, everyone else yells at me when they go first.
I mean,
like,
I would definitely rather go first than in the back 10 comics.
Right, yeah.
But
I'm just going to count my blessings at this point. And
the sweet spot is really, I think, the first 25% of any mic.
Yeah.
Like, usually that's like the first 10 comics, but also if you have more, like the first 12 can also be good. I think I was 30 last time, so there was still some crowd participation and still some good stuff. Actually, I talked a little bit about because we had talked about our mutual friend beforehand. I talked about like euphemisms you'd make for people who had because of like the opposite of boner bros.
Yes.
And I came up with some good ones. It was I wish I had my pad with me, but it was like vaginal vagabonds was one. Clit cousins. Oh man, pussy pals. I'm trying to think of all these other. I had a whole. Well, I had until.
Is that like when you go in for sloppy seconds?
Yeah, it's like when you have a friend who you've both hooked up with the same girl.
Okay. Technically, Hal got my sloppy seconds.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
Technically, somebody I knew back in the day.
Yeah, Shannon and I found out like 4 years apart that we hooked up with the same person. So.
Yeah, it was weird.
Which is wonderfully weird. So.
Yeah. Let's see, Ryan, what's on your mind?
So get away from this topic as quickly as possible.
I really like maps. I like maps. They're good. The reason they're good is because they're very pleasing to look at as very artistic style looking things. I've given them as gifts to Shannon. I draw them a lot just for the fun of it. There's a lot of utilitarian advantages to maps as well as being very visually pleasing.
There be dragons here.
They are very artistic, yes. That's the word I'd use to describe their maps.
Maps, they also like serve, like as Ryan was saying. So I have, my mom used to be the assistant curator for the art department at the State Museum. And like we used to spend a lot of time in her office, which was like this giant auditorium essentially full of not just paintings, but artifacts of Pennsylvania history. And when I was like 18, I went there and spotted she had this old map of Harrisburg from circa like 1859 in there, which was so cool because like you could see, and they also had like little boxes marking important buildings. Like for instance, one of the things I remember, and it's actually in my den, so I can show you because she made me a print of this before I moved to California. The state hospital is called the Pennsylvania Lunatic Asylum.
I love that.
So these were not exactly PC terms for 1859, go figure. But there's so many interesting components to see like what Harrisburg looked like 160 years ago.
Yeah.
Like for instance, Cameron Street, which I never considered before, it was a canal back in the 1850s.
Oh.
Which is why you've got so many of those bridges, like the State Street Bridge, the Mulberry Street Bridge, etc., are really just going over a street. So there's really not a huge reason today as to why that would happen. But these bridges were built in like the 1800s when they had to go over a canal, essentially.
Oh,
so
cool.
Yeah,
that
and
would
that's
be
like
fun to look at.
And that's why like maps to me, Ryan, especially like the older maps, are fun like time capsules of what things could. Because I could not find a copy of this picture anywhere online too.
Yeah.
So in fact, I should probably put one on someplace just so if anybody is interested, they could see that.
Oh, that would be cool. Ryan likes to draw like fantasy maps for like made up places, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a hobby I rediscovered. I remember I was in the 5th grade and we were learning about geography, and he was like, "All right, kids, make a map." And I was like, "Okay." Made a little map, and I just remember it being really fun. And so just a couple of years ago, I'm like, that was kind of neat. I'm going to try it again. And ever since, it's just been like this niche hobby of mine.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I used to draw fantasy maps when I like was super into fantasy places. So I would just like scribble, and then whatever my scribble connected to, that would be the world. So
Yeah, Ryan drew me a replica of Middle Earth. That was cool.
That's cool.
Made it look really old and everything. It was really fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was for Christmas.
That was Christmas. I couldn't remember if it was for my birthday or Christmas, but I knew it was one of those things.
I'd actually, for my ex-girlfriend, her kids were really into pirate treasure maps at one point. And for $10 online, I got like a 20-pack of just treasure map construction paper.
Nice.
And that was like a huge hit because like, you can sell a map that like very well to them. But then we did our own treasure maps, which was really cool.
Well, now I know what to get Ryan for his birthday.
I love you $10 worth.
Well, and that's actually something that I've looked forward to when Shannon and I have kids, is that I'm sure I'll be like, hey, check out this treasure map that I may or may not have just drawn.
Oh, my mom used to do stuff like that. In fact, so I remembered this vaguely, but my brother-in-law, when he transcribed like all of our videos around Christmas time, we had this like spattering of old family videos we were watching that he had reclaimed from the almost ruined VHS tapes. And one of them captured this moment. When we were on vacation in Maine when I was like in first grade, my mom actually set up a pirate treasure hunt around the house at one point.
Oh, cute.
And it started with her sticking a knife into the front door with a piece of paper underneath it, be like, "Yarg, here be the..." And we lost our fucking minds for it
Of
because we were
course.
like 8 to maybe 11 years old, was the oldest of the cousins at that point. And it was very, very cool. And she like looked up the history of the area, which was rife with Native Americans killing colonists in the area. Go figure.
Fun, yay.
But yeah, I lost my mind for that kind of stuff. And it's so, like, those are the fun, imaginative things I like to do with kids. It's very fun.
Yeah, I can't wait until your nephew gets a little bit older and we can do adventures with him.
Yeah, we
That'd be
just
really
saw
fun.
my little baby nephew. He's a cutie.
Yeah, he wasn't a cutie when he first came out. I saw the pictures.
Yeah, he was pretty fucking weird looking.
I think, like, every baby is pretty fucking weird looking when they come out, honestly.
It was just, we got the picture. It was so funny when my future sister-in-law and Ryan's sister-in-law, when she was going into labor, Ryan and I were away. We were on one of our little cabin getaways. So we got the pictures, and I was like, Ryan, what just came out of Julie? I don't know what that is.
Oh, man, they sent us pictures of the afterbirth and forgot to take pictures of the child.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, but that'll be a fun little story to tell
My
him.
bad,
Like,
that's the placenta.
yeah. So, yeah, we took him to, we just got back from Hibachi for Ryan's brother's birthday, and they
Ooh.
brought the baby.
I love hibachi.
And the baby was not a fan of the hibachi.
Open fire? I can kind of see that, I guess.
I mean, his eyes got so big, and then he cried.
He's going to hate onions for the rest of his life because of that onion volcano. The onion
Yeah.
scarred him as a child.
Have you ever been able to catch the vegetables in your mouth
Oh,
that
all
they
the-
throw at you?
I can't think of a lot of times where I didn't catch them.
Every time for me.
It got to the point too, you've missed them every time?
Every single time.
Oh, you just don't have great coordination? I guess?
No. Anytime anyone throws any food at me, my reaction is not to try and catch it with my mouth.
See, it's interesting because I think that this is something that you just sort of develop. Like, whenever I played sports, I was not the most skilled person, but I was very good at defense in like basketball and soccer because I just sort of like knew where somebody was going to kick a ball, for instance, and could break it up. I couldn't do shit with the ball when I got it, but like I just would dump it off to somebody who could actually do something with it. And they said that was a very underrated talent that not a lot of people had, is just knowing where something's going to go and just destroying it.
When I was a kid, guys, this is really important. I used to be
I'm taking notes.
an absolute boss at dodgeball.
Oh.
Okay, but let me tell you, I wasn't the kid that threw the balls at everybody. I wasn't one of the gunners, as it were. I was the kid that, like, all the other kids would purposefully try to hit me with the balls, and so I got really good at dodging the balls, and so I'd be the last kid, and then, they'd try to hit you the 3 times, and if you made it the 3 times, everybody got to come back right onto the field. Everyone else was out, and then I saved the team. I was that kid. Because everyone wanted to pelt me with dodgeballs. And I was like, oh, better get good at dodging, Shannon.
I love, like, there's funny sub-games, like, especially like since we've talked games so much in the past, like especially as I've been big into Hearthstone and chess a little bit now, like I've been obsessed with studying what the meta games are for both of these things. And I kind of accidentally did that when I was playing soccer. Like for instance, we had a similar to how you were really good at dodging dodgeballs, we had a game that we would play that was mostly ball coordination where they would set up like 4 posts, everybody got a ball, and then the object was to kick everybody else's ball out while keeping your own. And everybody would just like dart after everyone's balls. And this was like when I was 10 years old. But I figured out if I just sort of stayed in a corner and didn't bother anybody, I could get down to just one other person and then just attempt to attack them. And then it was like a 70-30 chance I was going to win the game. So, and similar to like you figured out that you were super good at dodging balls. So that was like your utility to like get everybody back in the game afterwards.
Yeah.
So I love it when kids discover like weird things like that are essentially metagames within.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the next patch on chess.
Oh man, you're gonna love it.
Yeah, it's been a couple thousand years.
Oh my god, did you ever? So when I was really into like Magic the Gathering, like in '97, when like I was a kid game nerd.
That's
Ryan
when I
was
was like,
born in '97.
I know this is making me feel old. 4th edition Magic, what the fuck up, motherfuckers? But I was really into gaming magazines, and there were a ton of other CCGs and like other like because Magic had become such a big boom, they were throwing everything to a wall to see what stuck. And they had something called Nightmare Chess that we played in my Magic group. Have you ever heard of this, Ryan?
Mm-mm.
I don't know if you could even get it anymore, but I kind of want to look it up and find it. What it is like you need a traditional chessboard, and then you have a deck of 60 cards, and basically you get to draw like a hand like Magic of like 5 to 7 cards, and there are certain things you can play, like swap your king with the position of any other friendly piece, jump or promote a rook to a queen, or there were other like little things like that completely destroyed what the traditional game of chess is, but it made it so much fun. And especially since like at 11 I wasn't that good at chess, it made it much more fun to play with people who knew what they were doing.
I was in the chess club when I was in middle school, and for the longest time I was the only girl in the chess club.
Yeah.
Yep. And
this is just a sad story now.
I have a lot of sad stories.
Aw.
Okay, let's talk about something else. Anyway, but yeah, I was that kid in the chess club, and I don't recall being good at chess, to be honest. I don't remember that whatsoever.
I see. It's
But-
all coming together.
If you guys ever want to play chess, by the way, I'm not that good. Like I have a good grasp of basic chess, but I would love to like play it and learn how to do it better.
Well, Ryan, when we played chess the last time, was that the only time? No, we've played chess
We've played
before.
it a couple times, but I insist on playing speed chess. I refuse to let any turn take more than 30 seconds.
See, that's a really interesting concept, and I think I would like speed chess better anyway because, like, I feel like this is speaking from a chess novice, but for like normal chess players, you kind of know what direction you're going to go in already when your turn strikes, and then it's really just figuring out like all of the permutations and figuring out if your opponent can see a permutation. So like you're going to get the basic gist of your turn in speed chess. It makes it more fun because you and your opponent are more prone to mistakes that could break the game essentially.
What I love about Ryan and I's relationship is that we can turn almost anything into a drinking game.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't silence
Whose
my phone.
fucking phone is going off,
Who
Shannon?
do you think it is? It's always me.
Yeah, it's
I've
okay.
been so good the last couple of times, though.
I know it's okay. It's
It's because
It's not okay.
Ryan's allowed to say that.
Ryan is a butt. Anyway,
Ryan is a butt.
Ryan
Anyway.
was not actually a butt.
but like when we play Monopoly, we'll make it a drinking game.
House party.
House party Monopoly. Yeah, it's just fun things we do together as a
Mario
couple.
Kart? No.
Oh,
Beerio Kart.
Oh my God! So yeah, my sister and her husband went to a New Year's Eve party this year. Like after I closed things up at my house after our party, I went back there and they like stumbled in at 3 a.m, absolutely like destroyed because they had played Beerio Kart.
Goals.
Oh yeah.
And they mentioned like as I was driving my sister to pick up her car the next morning. She was telling me what Beerio Kart was and what they were doing. I'm like, this sounds like the greatest drinking game ever.
It is. It is. But
really fun.
We used to. I feel so old when I say this, but like when we first started playing the game with our friends, like we used to get absolutely slammed.
Yeah.
Right,
But
because
now
you had to pull over because you couldn't drink and drive, and then you had to chug your beer so your drink was finished by the end of the race.
Oh, so you couldn't even drink and drive in Mario Kart?
No, you have to pull over.
So then we're like, I can't even finish my drink in one race. So
Yeah.
we'll do 2 races. You can finish your drink. And now we're like halfway through our drink at the end of an entire series.
Yeah, so Kathy was telling me, I might get this wrong, and she listens, so she'll let me know if I get this wrong. But I think one of the rules that they had was like everybody had to shotgun a small beer before you even started the race, and you couldn't actually start until you finished a beer.
We did not do that.
Okay.
No, we usually just you start with a drink and you have until the end of the race to finish your drink, but you can't drink and drive, so you have to pull over to drink and then keep driving. So it's kind of fun because you have to kind of like you have to decide, what strategy are you going to take? Are you going to finish your drink and then go through the race, or are you going to parse it out through the race, or are you going to get to the end of the 3rd lap and just pull over and
See, I think I would parse it out at this point because I just can't and it'll happen to both of you someday too. Once I hit like 29 and 30, metabolizing alcohol just wasn't the same to me anymore. So if I drink, I like to keep it slow and not like shotgun. I used to be able to drink an entire beer, like a pint, in one gulp.
I've never shotgunned a beer. I hate beer though, so that it makes sense.
Yeah, it's
Well, and I rather enjoy beer, but I've never been able to just down an entire thing in one go.
yeah. Well, my gag reflex has changed in 15 years.
Hasn't it for everyone?
Yeah.
Try again. Give it another go.
I was trying to make the same joke that I made the other day with your sister. The nephew, we were watching him sleep. Yeah, that's what you do with babies. And I looked at Ryan's sister, and I was, and she said, he's a slave to the titty. And I said, aren't we all? And I forgot that Ryan's mom was sitting right there. But she didn't hear us because she's old. So.
I'm
But
a
we love
slave
her.
to the titty, so bring me that kitty.
Is that a song?
It just became one.
Oh,
Slave
see?
to the Titty by Hal Kramer and the Supremes.
Are we the Supremes in this scenario?
Yes.
Slave to the Titty by Shannon Fields and the other Supremes. Slave to the Titty by Ryan Brady and the People.
One of the things I decided when Shannon and I first started going to comedy was that if I ever got so drunk that I signed up and went on stage, I'd write my name down as Shannon's boyfriend.
Yeah.
And not Ryan, because everyone just knew me as Shannon's boyfriend.
Have you ever wanted to try it out? Because I feel like you would.
No.
I feel like you'd be pretty good at. Actually, I went through the dentist randomly yesterday because, and there's a long story behind this if anybody's interested as to why I went through the dentist.
It's yearly. You just
So
gotta...
about a year ago, I had to get a new phone because my old one broke and you couldn't access it whatsoever. And I, being an anxious person, just didn't label anybody's phone numbers in my phone for almost a whole year. And around September, I sent a screenshot to Lauren of something we had talked about, being like, haha, remember this? And she looked in the upper corner and she's like, did you save my phone number? What's up with that? And then I showed her my entire phone list and she's like, this is the most nerve-wracking thing I've seen. How do you figure out who's talking to you all the time? So for a while, she was the only person in my phone book. And then my running friend Rachel became the second person I put in because I talk with her probably the second amount most. And then just finally I snapped and labeled everybody in my phone. And I labeled Mike Martone, and I even put pictures of everybody in the phone. And so I went through the dentist to find a picture of Mike Martone and put him in there. But as I was watching that, I was like, this was an underratedly funny movie that we never talk about anymore.
Yeah. One of the funny things about shit, I forgot.
One of the funny things about shit.
It comes out of your butt.
Oh, it's so funny.
Thank you.
Yeah, with me trying stand-up comedy, it is funny because when I was in high school, everyone always wanted me to introduce the songs in band concerts, and it was just kind of okay, fine. And so I wouldn't prepare anything. I would just go up and make up a story about the origins of this song, and people thought it was funny.
I love doing that.
But I also never wanted to try and compete with Shannon. So I've just let comedy be her thing.
He's so sweet that way.
Well, that's a funny thing, and this is somebody else who listens to the podcast regularly, so I think he'll like hearing his name. Ashley's husband, Brad, is like the ultimate supportive spouse. Like he's always at our improv shows, and he's also like, have you ever met or talked to Brad very much at any?
We saw him at the thing on Friday.
Yeah, Brad is one of the funniest people I know who just doesn't do any comedy. Like whenever we go to like karaoke or outings or anything, I love sitting next to him because he's so much fun to talk to and he's so like dryly funny. But I think I asked him at one point why he didn't try like improv or anything, and he's like, "Oh, it's Ashley's thing." So, and I thought that was very sweet, very supportive. Especially for such a funny person. I love you, Brad, if you're listening, which I know you are.
Well, and that's one of the things that I love about Ryan is that, like, he is really funny and he makes me laugh all the time. So it's listening to us talk, like, when we're at home together, it's the most hilarious thing to me because we just go back and forth all the time and just say the most ridiculous things to each other. It is really a sight to behold.
Same here. Like... That's my love language with Lauren a lot of the time is that we'll have like conversations with things that don't talk back, but we'll have like a full like it started with her dog because I'll be like, "Oh, doggy dog, why are you doing this?" "Well, Hal, it's because I'm doing it." And then we'll have like a whole conversation. But then it started like, I don't know why this happened a couple of weeks ago, but like she said something to my beard, and then the beard all of a sudden became an old Russian who committed war crimes under Putin and is coming to the United States to try to make it in music industry. And she's like, "Beardy, I have so many questions." And then these conversations will go on for like 10 to 15 minutes.
We do the same kind of thing. One of my other fun things that we do is like something that I've learned with living with another person is you can't go around just pointing fingers at other people like, why are we out of this thing? Or why is this thing broken? And so what we've started doing is just blaming goblins. And then that way nobody gets mad at anybody else in the house except the goblins.
Oh, wait, because eventually blaming the goblins is just going to be a passive-aggressive way of saying you fucked up and did something. It's like, "Oh, Shannon, I see the goblins drank all of my diet caffeine-free 7-Up again."
No, see, that's the beauty of it is because we only use the goblins in situations where, like, it's like, you know what, it's not a big deal. We're not going to worry about it, and we're not going to blame anyone. We're just going to say the goblins did it.
I think the craziest thing about it all is I'm just learning this.
I was like, there's something crazier than goblins? Oh, it's the fact that he didn't even know.
I say it all the time when I'm just like, it was the goblins.
I guess I didn't realize it was a thing.
Oh, the goblins broke Ryan's brain, I guess.
Oh. Well, it's a thing.
Just kidding. I am a goblin.
Plot twist.
Yeah. Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, man. I was not allowed to watch Dragon Ball Z as a kid.
Neither was I. Because of titties.
There are titties in Dragon Ball Z?
The original versions, yeah.
We didn't see the titty. Like, I occasionally would catch an episode on...
Why am I just hearing
I
want to
say TB. I mean, it was Japanese animation. Of course, there's titties flying everywhere. And probably tentacles going into those titties.
There were tentacles in Dragon Ball Z?
Well, that depends on your definition of
I don't know enough about Dragon Ball Z to know that I'm not saying a joke, honestly.
Listen, I consider the parody version on YouTube canon. So... anyone who wants to check out Dragon Ball Z Abridged by Team 4-Star, I have nothing to do with them. I just really like it, and thank you. I should watch it.
What he just said made me think of something that I know you're going to appreciate, Shannon, and I totally had forgotten about this until, like all other useless, like, weird things going on in the world. Are you aware of the Star Trek Next Generation porno that they made?
What?
Okay. I mean, it shouldn't shock you that there's a porno based around the Next Generation. But what they did was... and I have watched, there is a clean version of it on YouTube where they just cut away from all of the sex because...
That's not the version I want.
Well, here's the deal with the thing is, so the people who were involved in making it were all like huge Trekkies, and they actually hired like real fan fiction writers to come in and craft a story around like the sex scenes only take place between people who have hooked up or had romantic things happen. Like, it revolves around them...
so it's canon.
It is canon, and the story revolves around them resurrecting Toph and bringing her back to the Enterprise, so, because Toss and Data can have a sex scene together at that point. And I watched it. It's about 40 minutes long on YouTube. They even hired a prominent Patrick Stewart impersonator to play Picard. Picard does not have any sex scenes in the movie.
Oh, well, then
What's the point?
nope, I'm not interested.
Oh, it's so. I mean, I'm sure you can find the dirty version of this someplace, but it was bizarre because it was like as well acted and as well set as a porno could possibly be. And apparently, a lot of people in the Next Generation community consider it canon for that reason.
I'm gonna have to check it out. Now, the funny thing about Captain Jean Luc Piccard is there's two funny things about him. Is number one, I have a bobblehead of him that I used to keep on my desk at work, and I would consult him on most important matters. And the second thing about it is
and a portrait.
I was getting to that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let the woman talk.
I'm sorry.
I have a portrait of Captain Jean Luc Piccard, and it looks like one of those J.C. Penney portraits, like one of those.
Does he have like a jacket over his back?
No, he's just like it looks like school picture day, and it's so funny, and I love it. And I used to have it hanging in my bedroom, and more than one occasion I've been in like job interviews and had the video on, and somebody was like, "Is that Jean Luc Piccard on your wall?" Be like, "Oh, yes, it is." And listen, the other funny part about having a portrait of Jean Luc Piccard in your bedroom is that I went through a hoe phase. And so
you've mentioned several times.
Yes. So many people have come into my home and seen that and me naked at the same time.
Remember, Jean-Luc Picard is watching at all times.
This is I mean, I fail to see why this is a bad thing.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that these people should reevaluate their life choices.
Lauren was wearing Jean-Luc Picard socks either today or yesterday, one of the days. I can't remember.
Was she naked?
She was not.
Oh, well, then I'm not
But I'm
interested.
just throwing out that like Jean-Luc Picard stuff is like perfectly cool.
Shannon knew I was the one because I was into it.
See, that's all joking aside. I think that's a very underrated aspect of having a partner is like sharing the same weirdness with each other. Like, the reason I love Lauren is that she can have a conversation with my beard, who's apparently a Russian war criminal, for 15 minutes and ask very earnest questions.
I like Ryan because he's cute.
I mean, he is cute.
I like Ryan for the food.
Do you eat Ryan? What?
Yeah, well, he's slowly losing all of his limbs. It's really upsetting.
I'm down to 3 fingers.
I knew there was a reason you were wearing so many gloves and boots.
Oh my god.
I like Shannon for the titties, honestly.
Listen.
It's a solid reason. Like,
I think it's funny that you're attracted to my titties because 9 times out of 10 when I get off stage, people are always talking about my ass.
yeah.
What can I say?
Well, that's the beauty of human sexuality is people are attracted to different things in different
Ass
parts
is a
of it.
must, tits are a plus.
See, I'm the reverse way. It's like ass is a must. Actually, I'll take whatever I can get. Really.
It's like, I'm not picky. Beggars can't be choosers.
Just talk to my beard and tell me I'm pretty.
That's funny. Oh, my goodness gracious. I'm very tired. I'm sorry.
Yeah, me too.
You want to
Had a
talk
long
about
day.
our adventure yesterday?
So,
Ooh, adventure.
remember I
It was
bought
a terrible adventure.
It was a horrible adventure.
It was still an adventure.
Tried to sell my car yesterday. Was told that I would be getting $500 for my car. Listen, sounded like a good idea at the time because it's a 2010 Kia Forte with 206,000 miles on it.
Okay.
Beggars can't be choosers. So guy says, all right, everything's fine, come down and bring me the card. I'll give you $500. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, we get down there and the guy that we were talking to wasn't there and it was like at a dealership and the guy that was there was like, no, we won't take your car. And we had just driven an hour and 50 minutes to go down and sell my car and they said no. And so we drove an hour and 50 minutes back.
Separately too, probably.
Separately.
Yeah.
And wasted 4 hours of our day.
Yeah, there's like the way I've read a lot of horror stories recently about like yo-yo financing at car places, and they pull shit like this all the time where The worst cases have been like somebody goes in, buys a car, agrees to terms, takes the car home, and sells their car to the dealer. And then like 2 weeks later, they tell them their financing fell through and they have to bring the car back, but they've already sold their original car. So they have to agree to like unfavorable terms again or lose the car. And a lot of dealers have done this apparently. And I was reading an NPR article about like people whose essentially like their lives were ruined because they lost their car and got like only the $500 the dealer was offering on trade-in, and then got fucked over because they couldn't afford the financing after they took the car home.
Oh my gosh.
So car dealers will fuck you over if you're not good with them.
Well, and it was just a whole pain in the ass because I wouldn't have driven an hour and 50 minutes if,
oh my God,
because the person that I had originally set this up with was someone I've known since I was in high school. So I thought, it was a solid thing, and it just all fell through. Now, on the flip side, I posted it on Facebook Marketplace today and had it sold within 2 hours.
I hope you got more money than $500.
Oh, I got $1,500.
Fuck yeah! This was a good adventure then.
Yeah.
Well, in the end,
I mean,
but Mark, fuck you.
That's not nice.
Is that his name from Ellis Island? It was Fakuzi, but then they made him fuck you when his family emigrated from Yugoslavia.
I hope you're watching this. I want you to know.
Ooh, you can just send a link to him of this episode. It's like, hey, tune in at 38 minutes, and we'll tell you how we feel about you.
That's not nice.
I want to know what else isn't nice.
This whole ordeal. Although I'm kind of like, I don't know.
I don't think it was on purpose. It was like a whole thing. And
well, it'd be weird if it was on purpose. But you ended up with $1,000 extra bucks, so let's call it even.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, it turned out okay. I just want my 4 hours back.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
That would be nice.
We could have watched YouTube that whole time.
Did you guys do this yesterday too?
Yes.
Oh, so you did it on National, because we're recording this on a Monday, National Everybody is Tired Day. Because of
daylight savings time. Yeah.
Oh my God, I signed up I forgot that it was daylight savings change until like way late on Saturday. And 2 days prior, I'd actually set up a breakfast with a friend of mine at like 9 in. I didn't get off of work until late because I was working a late shift that night. And I was like, well, yay, I got to be up in 6 hours to have breakfast with a friend that I like having breakfast with. So it was okay when I got up, but it just didn't feel good at 8 in the morning.
Tired. When isn't daylight savings time like ending?
So I was talking about
not
this.
A thing anymore.
I've talked about this with my witnesses a bunch of times because last year Biden did sign something that we were supposed to end daylight savings time this year, or maybe it was 2 years ago. Because I kept telling my witnesses, I was like, oh, this will be the last daylight savings switch we have. And they're like, oh, I'll believe it when I see it. And sure enough, yeah, like it's not been scheduled to be retired yet.
Fuck you, Joe Biden.
Yeah.
No,
well, there are many reasons to say fuck you to Joe Biden.
Well, there's just...
I'm not sure how much control he really has over daylight savings time, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I
think we overestimate the amount of control he has over much of anything.
This is a huge deal with presidencies in general. Is like it seems like if the person you don't like is in office, you overestimate what they're responsible for, and then if you like the person in office and things go bad, you underestimate it. And the reality is that they just don't have as much control over things as you think. Like when I was in business school, our finance teacher was telling us actually the chair of the Fed probably has a lot more power specifically over economical issues than, I mean, look at what's been going on with inflation because of the interest rates for like 5 years. So not 5 years, but more like 4. But
yeah. Dang. State of the world, guys.
You know what got me interested in politics?
Nothing.
Star Wars.
Please, go on.
The Star Wars prequels?
Yes.
The incredibly political Star Wars?
Yes.
About trade exports and boycotts over the Naboo administration?
The Naboobians.
The Naboobians.
I was watching that. I watched the Clone Wars, and I was like, galactic politics are kind of neat. And then I learned about real politics, and I was like, that's not as neat.
No, it's like galactic politics minus the Jedi lightsabers and starships.
Yeah, I didn't account for that part.
I think Congress would be way more fun with lightsabers.
What if we exclusively legalize dueling again, but only for politicians?
Yeah. motherfuckers would die.
Yeah.
It would definitely, I would say, at risk of saying something that would be treason, it would definitely
Say it.
It would definitely get older people out of Congress a lot faster, because if you're not so quick on the gun anymore, you might not want to serve until you're 90.
I was thinking about sword duels, actually.
Oh, okay.
Listen,
or just
I might
bare
run
knuckle
for
fight.
Same
Congress.
deal.
Someone dies.
Sword duels will probably make you, because you'd have to be even fitter to be able to
Yeah.
hold your
Yeah.
own there.
Dude, I might run for Congress if that's.
I need to call
You
up
would
my
end up in a duel with
congressperson.
Lauren Boebert. For
What I think is that. Yeah.
Oh man,
Shannon
we
is
never
so
have dead
tired.
space on this
Oh
podcast,
my
and you
god,
just
I'm
killed 10
trying
seconds.
so hard. Okay.
It's okay. We only have like 15 minutes left.
Okay.
When
thank
Pull it
in doubt,
goodness.
together. Pull it together. Pull
When
it
in
together.
doubt, just ask Ryan to talk about something.
Oh yeah, I just got a text from Lauren that she's home safe.
Hi,
That makes me
Lauren.
happy.
Glad to hear you're home safe.
Yeah. Lauren
thoughts
does-
and prayers.
She does listen to the podcast, so she'll be happy to hear that. But Lauren, we all love you here, and we're glad
Yes.
you're home. Yay.
Yes. Let's see. Well, you said we have 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
Ryan, tell us a story.
All right, so that gives me just enough time to talk about William the Conqueror.
Oh.
See,
I've learned some interesting things about William the Conqueror I didn't know until recently, so
Yeah.
I can chime in a lot here.
okay, so at first he was the Duke of Normandy, right? He was known then as William the Bastard. That bastard.
I did not know that he was a bastard.
I was a
Interesting.
bastard.
Well, yeah. I was actually almost a
Shut
bastard.
up, Shannon. We all knew that.
So go
You
on.
illegitimate shit.
Talk William the Conqueror to
All right,
me.
so the King of England, Edward.
You don't sound very confident in that.
So the King of England, Edward. He promised the crown to two different gentlemen.
Ooh.
The first one was Harold Hardrada.
I know Harold Hardrada because he has my name. So I knew him, and I know he loses in this scenario. So.
Oh wait, the English king's name was Harold as well. That's right. All right, so the Norwegian, we'll say he was Norwegian.
You mean the Norman? Or
No. Harold Hardrada.
oh, so he actually was Norwegian.
He was a Viking.
Interesting. Okay.
So I don't know which Scandinavian country he was from, but
Just a Saxon in general. So.
yeah, he came on over, lost to the King of England, and then William was like, "Oh, he promised me the crown too. Now's my chance." And so he then attacked, and because the English were so weakened, they lost.
Mm-hmm.
And then William was like, "Okay, you guys speak French now."
Battle of Hastings. Yeah, that's the undertone of Ivanhoe in general, is like the clash between French and English culture as like the Normans are taking. I absolutely love like medieval English history, by the way, Ryan. So I could talk for hours on this. In
You
general.
wanna
Wish we
start
would
a
have uncovered
podcast?
this about
Yeah.
an hour ago because Ryan loves English medieval history.
Well, now we have a reason to bring you back. Like
Yay.
so when I was in high school, the thing that sparked this is there were two like advanced level classes you could take as a sophomore because they grouped English and history together. The honors class was like Humanities 2, where you like learned Merchant of Venice and about like Dante's Inferno. And the other one, which was technically not an honors course, but honors level like work, was called British Studies, where you studied all of the Shakespeare history plays and the history behind them and like the historical inaccuracies in a lot of them. And I chose the British Studies one, and I got a real knack for English medieval history from it. And they only start with They only start with Richard II as far as the history plays go, too. But I know, like, another favorite period of mine just a couple of years after William the Conqueror is the Anarchy because of Pillars of the Earth, which, are you two familiar with the Anarchy?
No.
No.
Okay, so what happened? The grandson of William the Conqueror lived a very long time and ruled for a while. And he had a legitimate son who died in a shipwreck going between Normandy and England. And he had two contenders for the crown. He had his daughter, who was Empress Matilda, or Maud, and then his nephew, who was Stephen I. And when he passed away, Stephen I was the one who was able to gain the crown. Matilda had lots of French influence, so she spent years amassing French armies to go back and forth between them. And control of England sort of seesawed between them for a long time. So it was kind of lawless because nobody knew what nobles were ruling at any particular time. And it ended when Stephen I's son was killed by Henry II, also known as that guy that Peter O'Toole plays in oh my God, why can't I remember the name of the movie? But and that's what ended the anarchy, essentially. The Wind in the Line.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I really could talk about this for like 100 years, English history.
What if I replace Shannon on the podcast?
Ooh. Would this be grounds for breaking off an engagement?
It might be.
Oh, no.
First, they come for your virginity. Then they come for your podcast.
Your virginity was gone a long time before you met Ryan.
Let's face it.
What?
Ooh, we'll even steal your name. We'll be Hal and Ryan Resents. Because that was another contender for the name of the podcast.
No.
Hal and Ryan's Depression Vacation. It doesn't get more Depression Vacation-y than this one.
Wow.
The return.
Yeah, that's
Listen, guys, I know I haven't been super full of content for you today.
It's okay. It's the end of the day. Bandwidth is low.
Yeah, I had a lot to do today.
We have T-Mobile.
Okay.
It's not very good.
Oh, bandwidth. I got you.
Yeah, so
Shannon's
Shannon's really tired.
All right, Shannon, I want you on the podcast again.
Thank you. I'm funny.
You're super funny.
Thank you.
I enjoyed your set on Thursday too, and I like that we're getting back into, because I know you and I have sort of gone between stand up a little bit.
Yeah.
And like I like that I'm getting back into doing it regularly. And at one point, I'm going to actually sing the songs I've been writing, because I have written a good number of comedic songs, and I'm just not confident enough to play them yet.
I believe in you. I'm ready when you are.
I wrote based on the 5 days I haven't been taking my anxiety medication and just, like redeveloped deep-seated resentment towards certain people. I actually wrote a song about improv hipsters that is very funny, I think, but will not make me a lot of friends among that community. So I don't think I'm ever going to sing it. And I'm going to start taking my medication again.
Yes, take that. If you take anything away from this episode of Depression Vacation, taking your fucking meds.
Yeah. I'm going to start again tomorrow, but also consult my doctor to see if,
That is important.
Yeah, but...
You taking your meds, Ryan?
Yeah.
I'm taking my meds.
Yeah.
Cool kids take their meds, Hal.
I know. I just got to get used. I mean, I was used to it. I went 4 months without missing the dosage. And then all of a sudden, oh, this is nice. But then all the things that made me take it initially came back. So like, yeah.
Happens every time.
I know.
It lulls you into a false sense of security.
That's how they get you.
It's like the pink cloud when you stop drinking. Like 5 days into it, you feel fantastic because you've detoxed. And then like 5 days later, all of the problems you had that led you to drinking still are there. So you just get back into it. It's a cycle I have gone through many times.
It's a roller
See, the trick is
coaster.
to not stop drinking, and then nothing bad happens.
But then
Ryan.
then I die at 39 of a diseased liver. That doesn't sound so bad.
Take your fucking meds.
No. Yes, I will take my fucking
Okay.
meds.
All right. Everyone, okay. Take your meds. Don't kill yourselves.
This is
See,
your weekly assignment.
You see, the funny thing was, I knew, like, talking about the fact that I haven't been taking my Zoloft for 5 days, I knew you were going to give me shit about it.
Yep.
But I want to present a realistic, like what's actually going on in my mental health life.
And that's
like,
good.
Yeah. Shit things and good things. Like, mostly, it's been mostly good since we're doing the podcast, but this week has been shit because, like I said, didn't stop taking the medication, started developing irrational resentments towards people again.
Yeah.
So,
But see, that's what we're all here for. We're all supportive in your mental health journey. And so I'm glad that you were comfortable sharing that with us, but also take your fucking meds.
yeah. I really just want them to be able to recreate me as a bot and have enough content when I pass away. So that's what this podcast is for.
Excellent.
Like that Black Mirror episode where they reincarnate Dumal Gleason. Yeah. Although I don't think they make robots that are fat enough as me to be able to fill that void.
They could.
They could, yeah.
We have the technology.
We were just watching a documentary the other day where they had spy penguins. They had a whole camera that was a penguin.
I heard
and it could get up and everything.
I've heard because they had this on Jeopardy as a question that like the Soviets were using spy penguins during the Cold War in like Alaska and some
It's an
regions.
entirely different context.
Yeah.
Wait, they were putting penguins
They couldn't walk or anything.
but it was in Alaska,
Yeah, well, that was the only place they really had a lot of access to was Alaska.
and they thought we wouldn't notice a penguin in Alaska.
I don't think anybody did for a while. So
Well, it's cold there, and penguins live where it's cold.
And we don't have
Are
the
you
internet.
telling me that Alaska doesn't have penguins?
I don't think Alaska has penguins, does it? Because that was like
They-
the
Is
interesting.
that common knowledge?
They live in the South Pole.
But why not the North Pole? Who lives in the North Pole?
Polar bears.
Santa Claus.
Are you telling me polar bears don't live in the South Pole?
No.
What?
See, I'm not 100% sure on these things either, Shannon. So this is kind of news to me, but it doesn't
Well,
surprise me.
Ryan watches a lot of nature documentaries.
I do.
The otters.
Okay.
There's an
yeah,
otter Of course, there's a fucking otter
All right,
documentary.
that's fair. I watch a lot of otter documentaries.
Real quick, before we get talking about otters for the last 5 minutes too,
Yeah.
I have another fun William the Conqueror fact for you because Lauren and I saw this on a big fat quiz. It was from like years ago, but the question was because he got so fat in his later years, William the Conqueror. Oh, he's like my spirit animal. William the Conqueror tried a very unorthodox diet to stay in shape and lose weight. What was it? What do you think it was, out of curiosity?
I think
Well,
he
I know-
tried keto.
That was my guess, actually. Was
Really?
like because I know that they ate tons of meat back then, so I was like, maybe it was the precursor for the keto. It is not. So
Well, I know that back then, before they knew what germs were, they believed in balancing the humors
oh yeah,
and bloodletting, both
Yeah.
of which will kill you.
he was involved in bloodletting, but this was not. So what it was he drank nothing but beer for the last 10 years of his
Nice.
life.
My man.
Yeah, that was his diet because he thought that just drinking beer, because at that point beer was not really an intoxicant; it was more a cheap source of calories for the workers. So
Well,
I mean,
and because you could. I mean, you could drink well water, but like inner city, like London, you were drinking poop.
Yeah.
So you had to like.
Are you
put
telling me drinking
alcohol-
poop doesn't
yeah,
help
that's
you
a good.
lose weight?
That's
you
a
had
good
to
point.
put alcohol in what you drank, so that
I have to
it
put
could-
alcohol in the poop?
Oh, that reminded me. So, I also love history documentaries. And have you ever watched the Ottoman series on Netflix?
No.
So, my mom and I actually watched the first series, which was about the taking of Constantinople, and it's a fascinating part of history that really completely reshaped both, like the Muslim, Middle Eastern worlds and Europe in general, like losing the second Roman capital. And it was really interesting to hear like all of the things that happened behind it. And they did a second season because when Mehmet II took Constantinople, his next big battles were against Count Dracula, who was a childhood friend of his. And it's basically like a horror movie. I was not aware of like
That's cool.
oh yeah, you would love this because essentially what
I like vampires.
so Dracula was scarier than vampires in reality.
Oh,
Like,
no, I know.
and he like do you know like the
Vlad the Impaler.
yeah, Vlad the Impaler. Do you know what he did to the Ottoman Empire to like slow their advance? Like
No.
he only had about a third of the army as them. So what he would do is he would like wait till night and he would like ride out for like a minute, like kill 10 Ottomans and then go back in. And he would do this at like all hours of the day to drive them crazy. He emptied his prisons of people with the bubonic plague, dressed them up as janissaries and sent them into like their camp to infect people. Another insidious thing that the well water made me think of is that as he was fleeing areas, he would chop up pigs and throw them in all the wells because the Muslim Ottomans would not be able to drink the water from those sources. So it was like a weird horror movie of like, what the fuck can I do to forestall their advance?
I think Dracula might be a role model for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is why he became such a popular figure, was like the German editions of the horrible things that Vlad the Impaler did were among the first bestsellers in Europe, and people were fascinated with him as a character long after he died very ingloriously. So,
Nice.
because, spoiler alert, despite what Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula had me believe about what happened to him, he did not win the war against the Ottomans. He was fucking slaughtered.
Was he also not a vampire?
We don't know. Vlad the Impaler could still be around us if he was a vampire.
Have you seen the, I don't know how much time we have left, but
As much as we fucking want, Shannon.
Yeah.
there's a new movie coming out called Renfield.
Yes.
And, yeah, Nicholas Hoult plays Renfield, and Nicolas Cage plays Dracula, and I'm so fucking pumped.
Yeah, there have been tons of memes about Nicolas Cage as Dracula. It's sort of, so it takes place in modern times, right? Because I think I saw the trailer for it.
Yeah.
And Renfield was,
Aquafina's in it, too.
I love Aquafina. Like, after watching Raya and the Last Dragon, I watched all of Nora from Queens, and I fucking loved Aquafina. But Renfield is like, I think that looks very interesting. And
Yeah. It looks fun.
Have you seen the Bram Stoker, like Francis Ford Coppola Dracula?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's low key one of the scariest movies that was made in like the last decade.
I first watched it when I was like 8 years old, and that was too young to watch it.
Oh my God, way too young to watch it.
And so if anyone ever sees my mom, you can tell her that I was too young to watch it. What happened
When
was,
I meet your mom, that'll be the first thing I ask her.
it's like, what were you thinking? And I remember very vividly, because I couldn't watch horror movies for the longest time. We were watching that movie, and it came to the point where they go into the crypt to determine whether or not Lucy is a vampire.
Oh my God, yeah.
And had the worst jump scare of my life, and then ran out of the room, and I refused to watch horror movies for about 10 more years.
Was it when she brings the kid into the crypt?
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, that so the last time, having spent a lot more time with like younger children, since the last time I saw that, the scene where she brings that little kid into the crypt just absolutely like made me sad and terrified at the same time. Like, I don't like any sort of child violence I see in movies now, like hits me in a completely different way. And yeah, that just didn't it was bad.
It was terrifying. And that haunted me for a very long time.
Were there any, so interesting question, were there any other horror movies you saw way too early that also scarred you, or was that the one?
That was the main one. Sleepy Hollow was another one that I saw probably too young.
Thematically kind of similar, actually, in like presentation to Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah. And I thought Christopher Walken looked terrifying in that movie.
Yeah, when I first saw that, was not old enough to really know who Christopher Walken was by reputation, and then years later was very surprised that.
I was very surprised when I saw him in Hairspray later on.
Oh my. Do you know who? Like, speaking of Star Wars intergalactic politics, do you know who was the headless version of Christopher Walken in that movie?
No.
Darth fucking Maul. It was rape.
Really?
Rape. That's why like he's so swordy with everything, and he's like a master weapon person.
I should show you Sleepy Hollow. You might like that one.
I've seen it.
Oh, you have, with Johnny Depp?
Yeah.
It's scary, but it's quirky. So
I don't believe him.
I think so.
I think he's just trying.
I've seen it.
There's a lot of Harry Potter people in that movie too.
There is, yeah.
There's Dumbledore, Rita Skeeter,
yeah,
Mr. Dursley, tons of Harry Potters.
Yeah.
So like real quick as we're closing things too, because you said this, I have a horror movie that I saw way too young too that scarred me, and it was Event Horizon. Have you ever seen Event Horizon?
I have, and we talked about this before because
we did.
Saw it, but I wasn't scared of it, and I think I need to watch it again because I missed something. Everyone is terrified of that movie, and I've missed something.
I mean, it's a very good haunted house movie in a spaceship for the first like 80% of it, and then when they see the blood orgy, where everybody is basically fucking themselves to death.
I don't remember a blood orgy.
Oh my! You did not watch the movie then, because that's like
I know I watched the movie.
It's the most famous thing is when they uncover like the video of the crew, and they were all like literally fucking each other to death.
Maybe I fell asleep. Maybe. I'll watch it again and I'll tell you if I saw it.
There were certain kinds of movies being like, this was being raised in a Catholic household too. I could not watch for like 10 years afterwards. Like any movie that had hell as an end game, I was like, nope, can't do this, can't do this, can't see another blood orgy. Please leave me alone.
I've had some movies that not necessarily terrified me, but like unsettled me. And one thing I remember in particular, because I don't remember if I mentioned this to you, but I had a nightmare based off of it the other week, and it was Hellraiser.
Oh yeah.
And so the scene where the guy, I don't remember his name.
Probably Frank.
Frank, yeah. When he is like being dragged up from hell, but like his body is being put back together. You know what I'm talking
with
about?
With the baby scream, that's so horrifying.
I almost didn't make it through that scene, and I actually didn't make it through that scene at first. I turned off the movie and I went to do something else because I couldn't get through it. And then like months later, I tried it again and I finally got through the whole movie. But I had a nightmare that same exact thing happened, but it was a baby. And I like...
The initial Hellraiser movies were... I love the Hellraiser movies up until 5, and I think that they were some of the most imaginative movies before they became like, you know, fill-in-the-blank slasher movies. Clive Barker's like whole aim was kind of like discovering different ends of fear and what makes people do things. Like Hellraiser is an allegory between pleasure, pain, and just seeking out more and more because you keep getting desensitized to things. And also he was spending a lot of time in gay BDSM clubs at the time, which is why they're all garbed in leather and piercings. But there's a really interesting subtext to those movies. I've talked to Wallace's boyfriend about this a ton because he and I both adore the Hellraiser series. And like, yeah, next Halloween when we have Wallace on for more horror movies, we can talk more about that. And that's why everybody was... Did you see the Hellraiser reboot that they did in Hulu?
I didn't yet, no.
It's okay. I know we talked about this on a previous episode, but it's like... they got back to the root of like the philosophy behind it, but there was a lot of wasted time in there that was not as scary as it could have been.
Okay.
But yeah.
My Gillette has become really dull, and it keeps cutting me. So I call it the Hellraiser.
Ooh. Or you could just get another Gillette.
Yeah, I could. I wanted to make that joke. Anyway, guys, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we should tell people to keep doing this. Like, yeah, so do you have anything, real quick before we end, anything coming up in Shannon Field's world?
I have a show on April 1st.
Yay!
In Pottsville.
Yay!
Sarah Cartwright's putting that together.
Yay!
Let me pull up the thing here.
I still have yet to ever go to any of her things because I never go to Schuylkill County, I realize.
It is at the Play Lounge Bar and Grill, Saturday, April 1st. We've got Ron Kane, J.R. Seabach,
Ooh, okay.
Sarah Cartwright, Joe Almont, Eric Bevan, and myself.
Oh, I love Joe Almont.
Tickets are $10. Seating at 7:30. Show starts at 8.
Woohoo!
So if you guys are interested in that, you can check that out.
That's awesome. And as I was checking my phone, Lauren says that she was sorry for bailing and was really looking forward to meeting both of you. So hopefully we do that eventually.
Coming soon. Double dating on the podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we play chess.
No.
We could if we wanted to. But yeah, this is a good time to bring up too. We have Shannon and I are getting better at organizing our topics and our slate. And we have some exciting guests coming up in the next month. Next week, we're going to have Liz P. Curtis.
Yes.
Fantastic local funny woman who is I told her that for my money, I think that she's one of the funniest people I've ever seen in central Pennsylvania. And she told me I should really keep my money, but thank you for the compliment. So, and then in a couple of weeks, we'll also have Lennon Free on, another fantastic comedian. And then Allie Campbell, actually, I believe it's Allie Jacobs now, my bad, who's a fantastic filmmaker friend and improv friend of mine and all-around funny lady and good listener. So.
All right. Sounds like we've got some exciting things coming up. So keep watching or keep listening to us and keep an eye on the Instagram to see what we're up to.
I do have one thing I am up to this week, too.
Awesome. Go for it.
This is my 1 week that I do an improv show per month now at this point, and my improv group Sunday School, which improvises an entire church service essentially in a number of scenes and prayers and advocations, is going to be doing our St. Patrick's Day show this Saturday, the 18th of March at 8:30 p.m. for anybody who wants to come out.
Nice.
I will be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope everybody can make it, if anybody. But this is a good group that I get to clown around a lot with, and I love all the people on it, so I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. All right. Anything for you, Ryan?
Nope.
Susicle is over.
Susicle's over.
Jinx.
Yeah.
Well, Shannon and Ryan, I jinxed both of you. Oh, damn it, I unjinxed you.
I don't know the rules.
I don't know either.
But anyway, everybody for out there listening, thank you, Ryan, for coming and being a guest, as usual.
It was my pleasure. Hey, man, thanks for having me. It's really good.
He's now tied with Wallace McKelvey for most guested person, and really they're the only two guests we've had so far. So until next time, I've been Hal.
I've been Shannon.
And I've been Ryan.
And this has been Depression Vacation Podcast. Hit
See you
that
next
like,
time.
Subscribe button, or ask your Alexa to play Depression Vacation Podcast. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Make good choices.
Stay on your meds.
Do drugs.